This isn't your grandpa's chef bot.
Excuse me, Gearbox? Blatant ageism and bigotry yet again? Disgusting. Hey, what's up, everybody? Big day for Risk of Rain 2. A survivor was revealed, we got a new dev diary, and finally a release date. Seekers of the Storm is officially coming out on August 27th, less than a week away. This is actually really concerning to me, but I'll get more into that at the end of the video. First, let's talk about the new survivor, Chef. If you saw the last dev diary, this shouldn't be a surprise. After years of people begging and just generally being annoying, Gearbox caved and finally added one of the most popular survivors in the franchise. Hopoo / Gearbox adding Chef to Risk of Rain 2 has been a meme for as long as I've been in the community, and I never thought it would happen, genuinely. So hopefully he lives up to the hype.
Let's take a look at Chef's primary skill, Dice. Those years of primal culinary misadventures have trained Chef to have incredible control over his trusty cleavers. Hurl them at faraway enemies and call them back to slice and dice with twice the pain.
So for his primary, we got Dice. This ability makes sense for his primary. This is what it was in Risk of Rain 1 and in Returns. It's the same in the Chef mod, although this one looks a lot more polished than the modded one. We got a little indicator over the enemy he hits, and it looks like there's a red chunk of damage on the enemy's health bar, which is probably unrelated. It looks like they just added a little more polish to health bars, which is pretty cool. Dice is going to be Chef's bread and butter. It procs twice, first on the initial hit, and then again on the boomerang. Looks pretty strong.
Seer allows Chef to inflict a huge amount of damage and apply burn at a very short range. Customers trapped in this skill will quickly accrue copious stacks of burn. If you're getting swarmed by some unwanted vermin, this is a great way to clear a path.
For Chef's secondary, we got Seer, another returning ability from Risk of Rain 1 and Returns. From what they've shown, this ability looks busted as hell. First thing that comes to mind is Deathmark. This is an old item that makes enemies take 50% more damage when you apply 4 debuffs. This is usually extremely hard to proc consistently in single player because there's not a lot of debuffs you can get, but looking at this, it seems like it'll be extremely easy for Chef to take advantage of this item. One weird thing I noticed about this clip, when he sears the Dunestrider, we can actually see 2 different burns, the regular burn and then the stronger burn from Ignition Tank. But when you have Ignition Tank, it's supposed to affect all fire, so this makes me wonder if one of these icons is just a placeholder, or if there's some other item applying fire on hit, which would be insane, by the way. But yeah, I'm not really sure why they have 2 different burns. If you have any theories, let me know in the comments.
Time to hurl yourself into the fray? Activate Chef's utility skill, Roll. The long legs of past Chefs have been swapped with a huge roller, perfect for flattening out a nice, tidy pie crust.
His mobility skill looks most interesting to me. It's the only one that wasn't in Risk of Rain 1 or Returns. They took away his legs, which is probably for the best. Modded Chef has legs, and when you use the mobility skill, it resembles Cap running for the restroom after a long night of gaming. I think putting him on wheels was a good design choice, although Race pointed out to me that Claptrap also has a wheel, so the meme that Gearbox will put Claptrap in Risk of Rain 2 might be more real than we think. And if you don't know, Claptrap is this little robot character from the Borderlands series, and I guess people like him. I've never played those games, I don't know. Borderlands is also owned by Gearbox, which is why people joke about him being added. Tangent aside, this roll ability looks really interesting. I don't know how I feel about the charge up. It's very unique. There isn't really a mobility skill that does this. It actually reminds me a bit of Meditate from the Seeker reveal. Both these abilities require you to stand still for a bit, which might be frustrating. I'm hoping they give you some sort of defense buff while you're charging, like Multi's transport mode or power mode, so you don't instantly die. This clip on Aqueducts looks nuts, but I'm pretty sure they already had mobility items. I would be shocked if it was actually this strong. It also has a similar thing to Multi's transport mode, where the faster you go, the more damage you deal, which to be honest doesn't really scale that well, so I'm hoping Chef's is a little better.
Chef's special skill Glaze can help us out with that. This skill allows Chef to hurl large globs of oil towards his waiting customers. Leverage Seer after you've sufficiently coated an enemy to unleash radically more damage.
For a special skill, we got Glaze, which is a returning ability and the latest annoying Zoomer buzzword. This ability was really strong in Returns, so I imagine it'll be pretty good here. It's basically like throwing a Molotov, but instead of fire, it's oil. And from the clips they've shown, it looks like it applies the Weaken debuff, which again is going to be amazing for Deathmark. On its own, this ability doesn't do much, but when combined with Seer, it deals giga damage. They also revealed his passive, Chef's Kiss. Basically, if you use 2 or more abilities to kill an enemy, they drop healing. This is probably why enemies have gray debuffs over their heads, so you can see which attacks you've used. I honestly don't see how this is going to be balanced at all. I use multiple abilities on almost every enemy I fight anyway, so unless Chef's cooldowns are super long or something, there's no reason why you wouldn't be getting healing on every enemy you fight. We also got a sneak peek at Chef's alternate special, Yes Chef, which acts like second helping from Risk of Rain Returns. Using it supercharges your next attack. So it's safe to assume Dice, Sear, and Roll all have stronger variations. I didn't play a ton of Returns, but I remember this ability was pretty good as well, so I'm excited to see it in the DLC. I didn't want to cover the leaks on this channel, but I'll talk about this one just because it's really small and the DLC releases in a few days. There were actually audio files found for this ability in the last update, and they are fully voice-acted lines of various robots saying, "Yes, chef." Take that as you will.
Yes, chef!
That's it for Chef, but the most surprising thing about this dev diary was actually about console. The PS4 and Xbox One versions of the game are being upgraded to Xbox Series X and PS5. What this means exactly, I don't really know. I don't play on console, but it seems like it will optimize the game better. I'm unsure what the implications are for people playing on last gen. I assume this means Risk of Rain 2 will only have updates on the newer consoles, which is just speculation, but they put a ton of effort into unifying the codebase so that console is more similar to PC. It would be weird to support them and the unupgraded older versions, but I obviously don't know. It looks like split-screen co-op is being added to Xbox and PlayStation, which is dope. Couch co-op is dying, and for a casual-friendly game like Risk of Rain, it makes perfect sense to add. Well done, Gearbox. That was all the information in the dev diary, but I want to talk a little bit more about the DLC as a whole. I'll be very honest with you guys. I am scared for the future of this game and the future of this channel. There is a great evil lurking at Gearbox, and Risk of Rain as a franchise is in danger. I wish I was exaggerating. This wasn't really reported on, and I only found out about it a few weeks ago. But back in March of this year, Gearbox, the whole company, was acquired by another company called Take-Two. This company is notorious for shutting down game studios and being generally ruthless. A month after they purchased Gearbox, they shut down 2 studios, Intercept Games and Roll7. Now, Risk of Rain 2 isn't developed by a subsidiary, it's being developed by an in-house Gearbox development team. But that doesn't mean it's immune from Take-Two. We already saw the shutdown of Risk of Rain Hostile Worlds this year, which to be honest was probably a good decision, but I can tell you things are looking grim behind the scenes as well. Back in November of last year, I was given a contact at Gearbox. Her and her team were amazing to work with. They gave a bunch of us the game early, sponsored a bunch of videos and streams, and they even sent out a bunch of gups. Obviously, I'm biased. I enjoyed working with them because they gave me free stuff, but it was also nice being able to have direct communication with Gearbox. 2 years ago, when Gearbox bought Hopoo, it felt like there was more distance between the developers and the community, but back in November, Gearbox did a great job rallying the community. I'm super thankful for the work they did. It went a long way. But a few weeks ago, I found out that my contact and her entire team was laid off, which is sad. I felt like their job was pretty essential, and they were doing it well. I also have suspicions about the marketing team for this game. The hype cycle for this DLC was weird. Okay, it was weird and made no sense. They first revealed the DLC in November alongside the release of Risk of Rain Returns. They were off to a great start, but after this it was radio silence for 6 months, until when in May we got a surprise update and a dev diary that didn't really tell us anything new. But the update had massive leaks in the files that spoiled every new survivor. After this, we didn't hear anything for a few months again. There were a few teases on Twitter for skins, and I think maybe like one enemy, but we generally didn't have a lot to go on until 2 weeks ago when they dropped the third dev diary that revealed a whole bunch of information. We then found out the album releases on the 23rd. We get a surprise dev diary on the 21st telling us the release date is on the 27th. What? Why is the album coming out on the 23rd? Why are they giving us the release date less than a week from when it's supposed to come out? The last DLC, we got a steady drip feed of information every month for 6 months leading up to the release. With Returns, we didn't get that, but we did get 50 facts about Risk of Rain Returns. Number 12. Sometimes when I wipe my bum, toilet paper gets stuck in betwixt my cheeks. And I get Hopoo was involved in those projects, and they aren't with this one, so maybe it's a Gearbox thing, but the marketing was definitely screwed up, and that concerns me, because if people don't buy this expansion, I think it's over for Risk of Rain 2. If this DLC doesn't make Take-Two a lot of money, I think it's very likely they'll cease development, and expectations are high after the success of the last expansion. I don't know, I've tried to be optimistic about it, but I'm definitely concerned. My fear is that the DLC isn't ready yet, and they needed more time. I'm also a little bit worried about bugs. The last update had a few new ones, and they have not been patched to this day, and there's a reason for that. Gearbox has made it very clear they plan to roll out content for console at the same time as PC, which works for major content updates, but when it comes to patches and hotfixes, it gets a little more dicey. As far as I understand, there's a lot of bureaucracy when trying to update a console game. Microsoft and Sony have very strict requirements for updating fully released games. This makes it time-consuming and difficult to get patches out for certain games. With games in beta, they are a lot more relaxed. This is the reason many games stay in early access, biggest example being Fortnite. The game is still technically in early access, so it can be updated on a consistent basis. I'm an idiot, so I could be wrong, but I believe this is something that could affect Risk of Rain 2 on console, and if they want to patch both console and PC at the same time, this could be a problem. The DLC, I'm sure, is going to have bugs. The update did, and Survivors of the Void had a ton, but at least with that expansion, Hopoo put out 3 or 4 patches within the first month. I don't think we can expect the same thing from Gearbox. With that said, if you play on PC, I don't think bugs will be a huge issue. The modding community for this game is great, and if the expansion is really buggy, modders can do QA's job and fix them. We can deal with blurry maps, we can deal with random loud audio. That can be fixed, just as long as the core ideas are good. My concern has always been balance, specifically item balance. If a survivor is OP, that's awesome. Loader is OP, and she's a fan favorite. But if the items are OP, or I don't even want to say OP, just unbalanced, it affects every other survivor and changes how you play the game on a base level. I made a video over 2 years ago talking about balance and how tricky it is to add items into the loot pool while maintaining balance. Imagine they add 10 new white items to the game, and none of them are related to movement speed. Well, just by adding new items, you have drastically increased the rarity of mobility. It's incredibly tricky to do, and it's starting to worry me a lot because in terms of item reveals, we have next to no information. We know what a bunch look like, but as far as what the items actually do, there's not a lot we have. With DLC 1, probably half the items were revealed before release. That alone concerns me. In my opinion, items are the most important thing to get right and the easiest thing to get wrong. I've been yapping a lot here, and I know I'm probably killing the excitement for some of you, but I think it's important to manage our expectations here. I don't think it'll be a total disaster, but I don't think it's going to be everything we hope it will be either. It'll probably fall somewhere in between. To Gearbox's credit, the stuff they've shown off looks really polished and well done. It looks like a proper expansion and not just a mod. I was impressed by Chef, and I'm excited to play him. I think at the very least, the survivors will be fun to play. But anyway, I've been ranting for way too long. That's it for the video. I will be making a lot of content for the expansion, so subscribe to keep up to date. What do you think of the DLC? Are you excited for it? Let me know in the comments. Thank you to my members for supporting the channel, and I'll talk to you guys later.